What's going on, everybody? This is the first episode of My Wife Left Me Reviews. We'll be talking about the new Netflix Stephen King horror movie, In the Tall Grass. After hearing a young boy's cry for help, the sister and brother venture into a vast field of tall grass in Kansas, but soon discover there may be no way out, and that something evil lurks within. I'm joined on the panel by Sean.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you gaming?
We're
not gaming. This is a movie review.
Yeah, we're reviewing.
Right.
So we're going to do non-spoiler talk first, just give general thoughts and reactions.
Indeed.
And then we'll talk spoilers and likes, dislikes, and whether we recommend it. So you want to start it off? What'd you think of the movie?
Thought it was good.
Nice.
No, it seemed, it's kind of similar to the other Stephen King adaptation that came out. That was Gerald's Game, where it was like, it
Another
seems
Netflix
very
one.
right, which seems very like a real scenario that could happen. And I mean, obviously, like there's stuff in the movie that makes it kind of seem fantasy, you know, with like how the grass worked and everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of it made sense, like hearing like different like directions of like calling out names and stuff. But I really liked it. I mean, I thought it was pretty fucking fucked up. But
it definitely got fucked up at points, but and we'll get into that a little later. The director is Vincenzo Natali, and I was looking through his other credits, and he did this movie Cube. Have you seen Cube?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
So it's like these people just wake up in a cube and they like don't know what's going on,
and it's like very, puzzles, right?
Yeah, it's very psychological, and it definitely like had a little bit of that vibe to it of like mystery and like not really know what's going on.
Right.
The main thing I liked about it was for a movie on Netflix that is pretty much everyone has Netflix. You can go watch it now, but it gets right into the action. Yeah. There's literally no like delaying whatsoever.
Exactly.
The brother and sister pull off on the side of the road, hear the kid, they go in, bam, you're right into it.
And they're like immediately like it's crazy how quickly it goes from like being like, it seems like not that bad, and then once they get in, it's just like this fucking like unbelievably huge like expanse of grass.
I think the other thing the movie did a good job with was like the grass was like really freaky because it made you feel like super claustrophobic.
The panning shots were also fucking great.
Yeah, it was very well shot, I would say.
Yeah.
A lot of cool shots like moving in the grass or like flipping upside down through the grass.
Or being above and watching them run through the grass.
And
stuff.
seeing the grass move. I think it started with a shot of the grass and it almost looked like it was breathing.
Yeah, right before it shows the title card,
Yeah. I thought it made you feel like super, like I remember feeling like pretty uneasy watching it because the grass is just so tall. And it's just, I'm very claustrophobic in general. So it's like seeing that kind of stuff makes me feel wheezy. I also thought,
go ahead.
The sound design was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously with the voices coming from all over the place because once they get in the grass, they start hearing people this way.
Yeah,
and then they'll hear them.
Still.
Yeah, then they'll hear them in another spot, and they're like, "What's going on? Why is it? Why do people keep moving like that?" But yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, the other thing too is like once like other characters get introduced, like Luke Wilson's character and the son, what was it, Tobin, and then like the wife eventually like, and it's weird. It almost does like
Patrick Wilson.
Yeah, my bad. But yeah, like. It's weird how like the time kind of like moves around at different places in the movie where like stuff will happen and then you'll find out how like certain people got involved into the grass as well.
Yeah, because I think you first see like Tobin, the kid, in there. And then you see like Patrick Wilson, he's like, "Oh, I'm the father, I know how to get out," and that kind of stuff. Should we stop the non-spoiler there?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, we pretty much set up the movie with the grass. Once you're in, you can't get out. It's maze-like. Pretty psychological. Gets right into it. So it's not a lot of, there's not a lot of downtime. So I would say it's a good horror movie to like check out.
Yeah, definitely.
So now we'll get into spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie, click off, go watch, and then come back and listen to our thoughts. So we find out pretty early on that there's this like rock.
Yeah,
in the middle of the
entire
grass.
Like grass thing. Yeah. Which I think Tobin is like the first one that shows
Yeah, Tobin brings
the brother.
Yeah, the brother to it.
Cal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And because no, he's the husband.
Oh, the boyfriend.
The boyfriend. Yeah, the boyfriend.
What was his name?
It was Cal.
Was it Cal? What was?
Oh wait, no, it was Travis.
Travis.
Travis,
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
I'm getting confused. Cal's the brother. Becky's the sister. Ross is the father of the kid. Tobin's the kid. Travis is the boyfriend of Becky.
Right.
And so yeah, there's this rock in there, and it's kind of mysterious about like you can tell that that's kind of like the base of like the powers of like the grass and whatnot.
Right. It kind of reminded me, not to cut you off, but it kind of reminded me of like Dead Space.
Okay.
Where it's like there's this rock like that just like has this mind control basically over people, and like the entire mind control is like making people kind of go like do its will. And, like all the necromorphs, and like the necromorphs kind of similar to like the grass, where it's like they're kind of just at the bidding of the rock and whoever's in control.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of interesting.
So we find out that touching the rock pretty much lets you see like everything of like
all the paths
of, and like I guess the past of like the rock and why it's there and all this stuff. And as we find out, the dad, Patrick Wilson's character, he ends up touching it.
Yeah.
And he pretty much goes psycho. Mm-hmm. So he's like chasing them in the grass.
And he's trying to convert them, and like
he's trying to get them to touch the rock.
Because even though it tells you can see where the way is to get out, you won't want to leave, is like kind of what they describe it as.
Yeah, because once he touches, he's like, oh, I know the way out. I just don't want to leave.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
But there was a point where they did get out, and they went to like a church. Was it a bowling alley?
Yeah.
Or a church?
It was a deserted like bowling alley.
Yeah. I thought it got a little weak there, but I think it probably should have just kept it in the grass.
Yeah.
At least for that moment. But we should also mention that there comes a psychological part of it where your past self comes in to the grass. So it's like a loop.
Right, exactly.
Of like your past self coming. You're in it in present, but then your past self is also coming in.
Yeah.
And so your future self is coming in. And your future
weird,
self,
like time loops.
Yeah, your future self like hears the current Becky like screaming, so they get drawn in.
Right.
And then the present one dies, and the future one comes in, and they kind of take over.
Yeah, time loops like kind of overlap each other, and like there's a lot of different like possibilities of how things turn out, which is kind of similar to like Gerald's Game as well, where it kind of did that with like the wife in that movie, with like different scenarios playing out and like all this different shit. Like, remember in like the movie where like whatchamacallit, Patrick Wilson's character is chasing down Cal, and he like kills him, and he's like, oh, you could have gone left, or you could have gone right.
I just don't remember that from Gerald's Game.
Well, Gerald's Game, it had like the wife, like it had like her, remember like her different like bodies when she's like starts hallucinating, when she sees like different versions of herself.
She's hallucinating.
Yeah, seeing like the different possibilities and stuff.
I mean, as far as I understood, this was like real though.
Yeah.
And like Patrick Wilson made a comment that like they're all grass.
Yeah.
And they keep dying and coming back, which I thought was pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Thinking of yourself as like grass, just dying and coming back.
Definitely.
There were some cool chase scenes with Patrick Wilson where I remember there was one where I think it was the brother was like running forward, and then like Patrick Wilson like cut off to the right real quick, and then he like came right in the frame immediately. Like, cause like he knows all like the trick.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, and then it shows like when it zooms out, it shows like the different dead bodies of like him dying to him.
Yeah, his like past deaths, and he does say to him something like, "Oh, if you would have gone left, you would have been fine," or like some shit.
No, he was saying like, "Oh, if you're thinking right now, if you would have went left instead of right, like you would have been fine."
Yeah,
yeah.
But I guess we should also mention Becky is pregnant throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
The sister.
Right.
So I thought it was going to go like Rosemary's Baby because there was a scene or pretty early on where it shows like grass like wrapping the baby.
Yeah.
And eventually she gets like brought to the rock, And there's like these rock dwellers, like these weird rock people with like grass on their face.
Yeah,
they're not really explained, but they're like
No.
pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And they just kind of come out and they're like kind of like the cult followers, I guess.
The one like panning shot like down where it's like her like getting tossed around by all the like, it's like all the grass, it looks like, is like tossing her around, but it's all people.
Yeah, when it cracks open and it's like all people. Yeah, that was super creepy.
Yeah. She just gets like swallowed.
Yeah, was that her?
Yeah, she was getting like tossed because they were like pushing her up in the air.
In under the ground, it was her, a version of her.
No, it was like
I thought it was like kids.
No, it was like like I said, it was a panning down shot, and it was literally like all of these like. Because I was always doing.
No, I remember that. I'm saying I didn't know if that was like, I just thought those were like random kids.
Oh no, I thought it was like the cult members or whatever.
Oh, it might have been. It looked like they were like in agony though.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I kind of took it as like that was like hell.
Yeah, I mean maybe we're thinking of different scenes. I honestly
no, it's the one where the rock, it cracks open at the rock, and I know what you're talking about. It pans down into it, and you see all the.
No. That's not what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about a different part where it's like with all the fucking grass people.
Mm.
When they're like, remember when they're pushing her up in the air?
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's what I was saying. Because
I'm talking about when the floor,
I know what you're talking about with all the
yeah. So that was probably pretty confusing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it reminded me of like, so the grass people kind of take her and they get the baby.
Yeah.
The floor cracks open, it looks hellish, and the brother is like comes in, and you can tell he's like tweaked out of his mind, like potentially touched the rock.
Right.
And so he is like feeding her something.
And he says it's like seeds and like grass.
It's just seeds and grass, and she's like she's just absolutely chowing down.
And it goes from whatever, just like you can't even tell what it is, to just like red.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh fuck, is this really happening right now?
Yeah, it's implied it was the baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're pretty much in a loop with this with Patrick Wilson's character of him killing them, and then the baby comes in. It's kind of sacrificial there. They don't really follow up off that much. You don't really find out why they wanted the baby.
Mm-mm.
Or any of that stuff.
Says it like on the rock, like it had like the carvings.
Yeah, there was carvings. And then so the boyfriend ends up touching the rock, and he gets all the powers. Now this is where it kind of confused me, because why Patrick Wilson before it seemed like his character was all right.
Yeah, we
had no indication that he was bad or malicious.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and it looked like that turned him immediately to bad.
Right.
But then with the boyfriend, he was able to function.
I guess like he just had like, it's one of those things where like the will is stronger or something like that, where he could like, he had enough power to just like get him out, and then he was just like, done.
So yeah, he had enough power to get the kid out.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells the kid, don't let Becky and the brother in.
Right.
The future version of himself coming. Looping.
Yeah.
So then the kid goes and he stops them from coming in.
Yeah, somehow Travis puts him in the church.
Yeah, he
which is like behind a locked door that Travis checked when he was initially coming.
Yeah, and he just like kind of picked him up in the field and like put him.
Yeah. Like, I guess like the time loop, fucking who knows.
Yeah, or just like knowing, once he knew about the grass, he knew like all the ins and outs.
Right, yeah, true.
But yeah, then they basically drive off with the kid, but the whole thing is the sister was kind of running away.
Yeah.
From like the boyfriend and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the end you see that
she ends up going.
Yeah, she has a change of heart and ends up going back. Which is interesting because that version of herself had no conflict whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would she have the change of heart?
Yeah, exactly.
Just like the kid coming in, I guess.
Right.
So that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
It definitely reminded me of Little Children of the Corn, like another Stephen King movie with the kid, at least at first, because I thought Tobin was going to have a bigger.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be like more malicious.
Yeah.
You know, because he was super cryptic in the beginning of the movie.
Mm. Yeah, and then it also kind of like The Shining, the maze at the end.
Yeah.
I thought it did a better job with the whole maze aspect than The Shining did, honestly.
Yeah, like making it feel like just so much more like secluded.
Yeah, and like they don't, feels like you can't get out.
Yeah, definitely.
Where it didn't really feel like that with The Shining, but
right.
And also this movie Triangle, which I don't know if you've seen.
No, I don't think so.
Triangle is a movie where it's pretty much similar time loops like that, but with a twist. And that is, I won't spoil it, but if you did like how this movie kind of, the time stuff and that kind of stuff, check out Triangle. That's a pretty good movie that you'd probably enjoy. Overall, for Netflix horror movies, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, I liked it.
No, I mean, some others like Velvet Buzzsaw I've seen from Netflix. That was kind of
Yeah.
But I would definitely recommend, watching it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I liked it. And I put on there as well, like, things that reminded me of was, like, kind of like the Black Mirror, like, the episode where it's like the VR simulation where the guy is kind of controlling, like, the time loops and everything. It was kind of reminding me of that with, like, Patrick Wilson with, like, his whole control where he's like, oh, he's just killing me, like, over and over again.
Yeah. I thought he did a pretty good job. He's, like, you kind of tell he was going to be the bad guy.
Yeah, with how, like, good he started out to be, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just him in general. He's, like, in Aquaman, he's a bad guy.
Right, yeah.
All that good stuff. But I think it sounds like we enjoyed it pretty much.
Indeed.
So go check it out, In the Tall Grass, on Netflix. And let us know in the comments if you enjoyed this new, I guess, review that we got going on.
Indeed.
Also check out My Wife Left Me podcast if you liked our conversation that we had for more goofy stuff. And yes, goofs, gaffs, and laughs. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.